and I have day 11 of the Off the Board series that we're doing for the whole month of July. Off the Board is a monthly series where we go into our Pinterest boards and we look around and see what we can find that might spark an idea for a layout design or a color scheme or some element to put together a layout or create a project. So it could be anything. It doesn't have to be your scrapbooking boards or even like crafting boards. Maybe you're looking through your food board or you're looking through some of the quotes that you have pinned, whatever it might be that kind of sparks that bit of creativity and gets an idea going for you, and then you can create a layout from that. Or a project. You could do a project as well. So I found this pin from Sew Me Something Good, and I kind of liked how it was just this patchwork of scraps of fabric. And I think I pinned this because I thought it was a good idea for cards. I have a couple other cards in my card and tags board that I have that is using fabric on your cards, like, little scraps and bits and pieces, and kind of putting them all together as a mosaic type thing. And so I think these particularly, like in the picture, are coasters, but I thought they looked good as sort of a card front. And I have all this leftover paper that I've been kind of just letting sit on my desk that is all bits and pieces and the last teeny tiny scraps from the Rosie Studio Lucky Me collection that I got from Christy. I used all of these papers and the stickers that I got, and I did actually buy some extra stickers from Scrapbook Your Joy, just to kind of go with what Christy had sent me. So I used them all up on a mini album that I created, and I just had these little strips left over. These were kind of like the last little strips from the papers that I had to cut down to fit as the backgrounds of the mini album, and I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to use them. So that's kind of what my frame of mind was when I was looking through my Pinterest, and then I saw all of these cards with the scraps of fabric and thought, this is perfect. Scraps of fabric are, just like having scraps of paper, so let's go ahead and put these all together. So the one kind of main square I was thinking is the background or the coaster or just whatever that kind of square image or square piece to the image is. And then these are my scraps. Instead of me putting them on top of the square, I've put them behind the square so that obviously the pattern from the pattern paper can go ahead and kind of shine through. And then I also had this X and O. So Christy must have had some sort of plan or idea in mind, and she had already cut out this X and O. And I really wanted to get that used as well, because obviously that is part of the whole package and part of the scraps that I have left over. And so I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to add a little bit of sewing, just kind of hearkening back to the original inspiration piece, which obviously is the scraps of fabric are sewed together. So I just went ahead and stitched around the edge. I did this by hand because I need to get a new plate that covers my the bobbin, like the bottom plate on my sewing machine. It's broken, it cracked. So hopefully I can replace it. I think I can, but until then I can only hand stitch. So originally I thought maybe I would go ahead, and this is something you could do, go ahead and do some like really messy stitching kind of diagonally through all of those strips of paper, or do some messy stitching around the edge of the square piece of paper. But I didn't know if I was going to have the patience, I guess, to kind of stitch through multiple layers of paper. So I went ahead and did it on the X and O, and I think it looks really cute that way. And then I used the O as my little kind of frame for my photo. So that to me was kind of a good way to be able to keep all of the papers and the layers and stuff really as the the focus. Obviously, the picture is always kind of the focal point of your layout, but I didn't want to take a big picture and kind of place it somewhere where you would lose the effect of all of those layers. So I thought tucking it in behind the O would be really cute, and it works out good because I just happened to have this hugs and kisses sticker from one of the sticker sheets that I actually went ahead and bought. It was one of the ones that was left over that I didn't use in the mini album, and it just fits perfectly right here as the title with the X and O. So it's funny though, as I was doing this, so in my mind, X's are your kisses and O's are always the hugs. But you always say hugs and kisses or X's and O's. Am I the only one that does that? They're kind of reversed. So I don't know why when you use the words, we say hug first, but when we use the symbol, I guess you could say, we say X first, which is kisses. So I was toying with the idea of reversing it and having it say kisses and hugs, but that's not really kind of the natural way that I would say it. So I went ahead and kept it as hugs and kisses, but put the X first. I don't know. This is where my brain goes sometimes. So once I had that all put together, I am now just looking through the little bits and pieces of the die cuts that she sent. Now, some of them are from a different collection, and I'm not entirely sure which collection it is. It seems to be maybe more of like a birthday collection or a collection that's kind of focused on you. There's lots of sayings like thankful for you and it's your day and celebrate and stuff like that. And so I just pulled out a few of the ones that I thought kind of worked with the colors here and the sentiment here. And then I also have this little pack of die cuts that you just saw me going through that are a recollection set, and I got them for really, really cheap, but there was nothing else to go with them. There weren't any stickers left over. There weren't any papers or anything like that left over. I think it might have been last summer's collection, and they were just had, you know, all the little bits that were still lingering on clearance, and I grabbed it and it was sitting beside me, and I realized that the colors are a little bit brighter, but when you kind of isolated some of them, like the greens and the purples, they actually work really good with this collection. So I was just able to pull out a few extra die cuts to kind of beef up my little layers that I did in my embellishments. And so I just went with 3. Oh, can you see my little guy is up above my desk and he's showing me things that he's not supposed to be touching, but that he is touching. And so slowly he's pushing everything onto my layout. I'm trying to ignore him, but yeah, he thinks he's pretty funny. So back to the layout though, I was kind of trying to create little layers and make it look like the little embellishment clusters were all kind of layered in the same way that the inspiration photo has as well. So I didn't want to just put one die cut or anything like that. I wanted to have things kind of layered up and clustered all together, which is fun. I love doing that kind of thing. So I added to that, I fussy cut some hearts that were in the recollections pack, and then I added some of the puffy stickers from the Lucky Me collection. So there's little stars, so I just added a bunch of stars. Well, I used the whole row of stars actually, and I had some leftover. And I had almost the whole row of yellows. So I went ahead and just put all of them onto my little embellishment clusters as well. Yellow was the color that I kind of struggled the most with the die cuts. There didn't seem to be a lot of the yellow, so I kind of used the enamel dots to represent the yellow, and just kind of, I popped up those little hearts so that there was a bit of dimension, and just, you know, made these fun little clusters, which I haven't done in a while actually, is do the whole kind of visual triangle with my little embellishment clusters and stuff. So it was really fun to kind of play around with those and just tuck little things in. And then while I was creating my patchwork, of scraps, I kind of realized that it was going to be offside just a little bit, just because I didn't plan or measure anything. So instead of trying to shift everything and pull everything up and move it into the center, I just went ahead and cut two sides of that background paper, about probably a half an inch, maybe a little less than half an inch. I used the hearts as my guideline of where I needed to cut. And instead of taking that paper and putting it into the center of a larger piece of cardstock, I couldn't really find any cardstock that I thought was a good color. I didn't want to use white. I didn't want to use black. I wanted another color, which is something I don't do a lot. And I know that there was white as the background of the inspiration piece, but I really wanted a different color. And I remembered I had this pack of paper from Recollections that had the two colors that I ended up using, but they're only 8.5 by 11. So I kind of did this little sort of half mat, I guess you could call it. I really like how it turns out because it kind of goes back to the whole kind of scraps, right? It's not a full piece of paper. And I love how those colors just make everything in the layout pop. And then I finished it all off with a splattering of Heidi Swapp Color Shine in gold. And that's my layout for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Please check out all the links below of everybody else who's playing with the Off the Board series today. And until tomorrow, happy scrapping. Bye.